are those? What are those
What is that?
glasses? I've
Oh,
never
I thought
seen
you were
those.
talking about my crazy messy bun.
No,
Um,
that's adorable. We
yeah,
both.
so these, well, first of all, my name is Chatone Morrison, Princess Positivity. Welcome to Getting to After. I am a girl who love a pair of glasses. These actually, I don't know if y'all can see that.
Let me
These
see.
actually say Catalyst on them, okay?
They
So just
do.
in case you didn't know, yes, authentic, brilliant Catalyst in the house.
Mhm.
My co-host.
I am Morgan Bustos, everybody. Good
All right.
morning.
All right. So Morgan, you know something? I love glasses. Like I remember being a kid and the first time I had to start wearing glasses, thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be four eyes and oh, they're gonna call me names. But as I got older, it really became an accessory for me.
Mhm.
And on top of the fact that they help me see, I love to have some really fancy glasses. And I hear from people like, oh, those must be for fashion. No, they're for focalization because girlfriend cannot see a thing. Okay.
You're like, I just need to be able to see what's going on. That's so funny. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was with my friend Jackie, right? And it was funny because I was in her kitchen and she was having me read something to like, I think we were ordering food or something like that. And I was squinting and she's like, here, she's like, Mo, here, try these. And I put them on and I was like, great, googly, googly. I was like, I can see. And she's like, honey, she's like patting me. She's like, welcome to your 40s. It's time to get you some readers. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then I realized I've had so many pairs of glasses.
What do you mean?
Well, girl, check this out. So like, my eyes are completely changing all the time. So I have this pair. They're super cute. Like this.
Oh, those are cute. I've never even seen you in these.
I know.
I should love to see you in any.
See, aren't they cute?
Well, you just said C. I don't know. Can you?
I actually, yeah, I can.
Just ask me.
I should have put these on a minute ago.
So, today we're going to be talking about change. You see, my girlfriend already had an outfit change already. She had a little change in the glasses. It's interesting because in our 40s and 50s, these things are the things that start travel. Though for me, Morgan, I was 20. I was 21, couldn't see, and I was trying to figure out why. I think I was about 20. And I was trying to figure out like who could drive at night? Like who can do that? Like how can you drive at night when everything looks crazy? And then I realized it doesn't look that way for everyone else. It just looked that way for me. I
Right.
didn't realize. So yeah, welcome to your 40s, babe.
This is a lot. This is a lot, but it's weird how like I don't my eyes changed when I gave birth to my last child, to my
Hmm.
last one. They changed quite a bit. And then after that, I want to say in the last couple years, when maybe Sequoia was like 5, they changed again. And then just now they're just bouncing back and forth. So it's just something you got to get used to, is shifting and pivoting quite a bit.
Well, it's funny because one thing that you and I both hear from women that we work with all the time is that they want to make a change. They feel they have to make a change, but they don't know how to make the change and they need permission. And the
Mm,
permission doesn't come from the outside. It feels like it does, but it comes from the inside. And it's really interesting that we're talking about glasses today. Um, these probably, I'm not even sure I can really see out of these. I put these on today because I wanted to see, oh man, do I want to get another white pair of glasses? I haven't had any in a long time. And
uh-huh.
I used to absolutely adore these, but they're about 3 prescriptions old, which is strange because I'm like, so why can I see out of them?
Hmm.
Because my distance is fine. It's
Mhm.
what's close up that's not working. And I think that's a perfect metaphor for what we're talking about today, which is it too late to change? Sometimes what's all the way out there is working okay. Like maybe you're doing some planning for the future. Maybe you're paying off your house or you're looking to buy your first house and you're like, how am I going to do that? Or you're putting money aside for your kids' college, things like that we're still kind of doing in midlife a little bit, or planning for things like weddings. We won't go there. Things are happening in midlife that we're planning out. And you're like, the things out there, I'm good. I'm good. But sometimes the things up close. Because let me
Mm.
tell you something, try reading up close. You can't see nothing. Okay. You cannot see a thing. And
Oh.
and that's kind of what it is. And it's like, is it too late to change, Morgan? What do you think? Is it too late to change?
I think, girl, the short answer is no, but the long answer, I would say, is absolutely not. You know, literally think about it. We get so many of us get to this midlife section and we think that we have to stay right here in this lane, right? The lane that we're in, whether
Yeah.
it's our jobs, our relationships, our responsibilities, like whatever it is. But there's like this unspoken like rule, I think, around women that it's only for younger women. It's only for younger people that
Yeah.
you're able to
Yeah. Yeah.
like change your career like 15
Yeah.
times, something like
Yeah.
that. But it's just not true.
Well, it's, I do know that at some point, I mean, for me, for sure, you start giving yourself permission to freeze instead of change. It's like, well, I guess I'm supposed to be right here. And you think about, I always remember, and this is a long memory, when I first went to my first day of kindergarten. I can't believe I can remember that. I remember it very vividly. Do you remember yours?
Nope.
I do. I remember my first day of kindergarten, and I remember walking in, and they have the alphabet letters at the top.
Yeah.
Now I don't remember my teacher's name. Let me tell you, but I remember that first day of kindergarten, and it had all those little jobs at the top. The career like that went along with the alphabet,
Yeah.
and you were taught to dream. You were taught
Mhm.
that you could do anything, you could be anything, and that's kind of somewhere along the lines. It's like, no, 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 no. You can be these three things. If you're a person of color, maybe only two things, right? And what
Mhm.
happens is that that getting stuck, we freeze, and it feels like this is all I can do. No, you can't be a fireman, you can't be a dolphin trainer, you can't be a high diver. I would never do that, but it's like,
Underwater basket weaving.
yeah, none of that, right? You can't do that anymore, and I don't know, it's not real.
But you know what? That's because we've been conditioned to believe that stability is the goal,
Yeah,
right?
well,
Like, that's what we're supposed to do. Like, when you get older, like, you want stability, you want consistency. But let's be real, most of us call like, what we call stability is actually just being stuck, like,
yeah.
in not willing to move forward in anything.
But I think, I don't know. I know for you and I, the entire idea of getting to after has to do with helping women transition from one place to another, helping them to create boundaries where they need to say no, to look at things differently. And yet, even the two of us, there's ruts you get in. And you're
Mhm.
like, well, I have to because the kids. You and I talk more about our kids. This podcast was not supposed to be about children, but we end up talking about our teens so many times and our young adults because they are a big part of our lives. And I think in midlife they are, but at the same time, okay, what about us? What about you and me? What about our audience that whether they have children or not are ready to move forward into something else? I like when you said about um, you said something about the job and can you change jobs and things like that.
Mhm.
And for me, back in 2012, I took that big leap. I asked to leave my company. I was working in a really stable job, making pretty good money. I mean, pretty good money. And I was
Mhm.
just like, if you're firing people, can I volunteer? And people looked at me like I was insane. They're like, you would walk away from that. But I knew in that moment that I had to. And all I needed for Mark to say was yes. I just looked at him. We didn't discuss it. We didn't look at the bank. We didn't. I looked at him and I was like, "It's time to quit now, right?" He's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay." And that afternoon, so sometimes you do take a leap of faith, and it
Mhm.
was terrifying. Those great benefits I had, them quarterly bonuses,
Yeah.
missed those, right? Missed them. Okay, you know. But the truth of the matter is, it was the best thing for me spiritually.
Mhm.
Financially was not as important. It was the best thing for me spiritually, best thing for my family, best thing for me as a mom. And
Mhm.
I don't know if I'll ever make that money from a company. I don't know that I ever would want to,
Mhm.
but I'd so much rather do what I'm doing right now.
Well, you know what? Honestly, too, just because something's familiar doesn't mean it's what's right for us, And
Why
so
you
that's
have me out here with my bun looking crazy?
well, girl, I was gonna say the same thing about mine. I was like, it's got this little like a gap over here.
I can't believe that we actually like we don't plan this, y'all. Like when I got on camera with her, I said, why are you having a bun?
It was a bunny kind of day. See, look.
Okay.
No, not feeling it. No. No.
All right, Morgan, listen. I know that you said you had a little surprise for me today. I'm
Mhm.
scared. I'm a little scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Okay, so we're gonna play a happy little game called Would You Rather?
Oh, Morgan.
Do you remember? Do you remember back in the day?
Well,
Would you
actually,
rather?
Morgan, remember, I'm a little older than you. So we were doing stuff like Mother May I, which would really fit into what we're talking about today, since we're talking about giving ourselves permission. Would you rather? I've listened to my kids do this, and I feel like I'm about to be set up.
You're not going to be set up. You're going to love this. They're good questions, Tone.
You told me that last week when you were like, "Tell me, put my phone down." I'm not sure I trust you anymore.
One time, Joe. One time.
All right.
Okay. All right, let's go. Okay. So, would you rather stay in a job that drains your soul, but has a predictable paycheck? Okay. Or would you rather have to figure out what's next, but you get to wear pajamas while you're doing it?
Okay, so since obviously this was kind of, see you, I never know what you're coming up with. And had I known that, I wouldn't have talked about my job. Clearly, the answer is I would quit the job. However, I'll just stand up for a second. You know good and well, your girlfriend is never going to be in pajamas all day because I'm wearing a tulle skirt in the house. So you know that I would never do that. But I'd like to figure out what's next, and I think that's so curious. I would love to know if you hear this question, your audience, replay viewers, those of you who are at Premiere Live, like let us know in the comments. What would you rather do on that one? I love that question, Morgan, because I think for me, I'm always doing something new. Every couple of years, I do something big. A couple of years ago, I was like, I want an online cafe in the middle of a pandemic. We did writing, right? We did content writing. And then I was like, I want to write a book. Fat and Happy was born. And then I was like, I want to take on coaching, but now I want to take on different type of coaching. And so I became certified as an EFT practitioner. And then I was like, I really, really want to become a Mary Kay director. And so I became a Mary Kay director. I want to be a full-time minister. So I started that about 4 years ago. So I am definitely that girl that does those things like this, and afraid.
And we talk about how change scary is, but I don't think people talk about how painful it is to stay stuck where you are in that rut.
No, it's true. There's discomfort either way. I think that there's discomfort, resentment later, being angry at yourself. And so many times we're talking to women who say, well, I don't know what happened to the last 5 years. What happened? What did I do? What do I have to show for it? And I never think that's really true. That's why I advocate Fat and Happy, because sometimes you don't see it because you don't write it down. You don't see it because you don't celebrate it. And I know that I am definitely a poster child for not celebrating. And it's a shame because I advocated. Stop looking at me like that. I advocated with clients all the time, but it is definitely something that I have to, work on sometimes because I'm moving really quickly. And Morgan, thank you so much for always being like Chatone. You don't say Chatone, Tone. You're like, did you celebrate that? Do you know all the things that we did yet? Do you know all the things like that are good?
I love how ambitious you are, right? Like there's always something popping up. And I really do have to sometimes like just remind you, like, look at what we've accomplished. Like, I want you to stop, be still for a second. Like we can get to the next in just a second, but we're like right here, right now. So many huge accomplishments just in the last couple of years. So I just want you to own that and to give yourself praise for that, because as society and as women in the world, like we don't get that praise and we don't get those kudos and like the pats on our back. So even if we have to remind each other, like do that for your friends, remind them to take a minute and praise them.
Celebrate. And I think inside I feel really happy. Like I don't think I'm ambitious because I don't do things fast necessarily. Not for me anyway. It doesn't feel fast. And I'm married to Mark. He's like, brother's got his hand, like he's fast. Okay. But I do think that I'm highly creative and I don't get bored. But once I feel satisfied, like, okay, that happens. Okay. That's why I have so many different modalities of artwork, so many modalities of healing. I'm just like, okay, that worked. What's next? And I think that's why we have to live forever. Let's not go there. But it's like, because our brains are made to constantly be thinking of new things. And I think that's fun. However, we get into this rut in midlife but I'm afraid to change. And if you're in a secure job at this point in 2025, I would say maybe stay in it as long as you can, because right now it's a little weird. Okay, so you may want to stay in it.
That's a good point. Okay, are you ready for the second one? Come on, you know you are.
Do we have to?
Embrace the yes. Okay, so the next question is, would
Okay.
you rather finally take a dream trip, but you have to budget and plan like crazy to make it happen? Okay. Or take the trip of a lifetime for free, but it has to be somewhere completely outside of your comfort zone. Completely outside of your comfort zone.
What you talking about, Morgan? I mean, have you been talking to my husband? Like, not only do I feel set up, but I'm just like, what?
I've been conspiring with Uncle.
So,
Mm.
you know, free sounds really good. Um, outside my, it's funny, I love to travel, but I
Mm.
love to travel to familiar places. So
Mm.
I live in the DR. I'm in the Dominican Republic all the time. We've gone multiple times a year, every year, except during the pandemic, since like 2012, 2013. Before that, we used to live in Barbados. We were there all the time. And of course, I'm always in Florida because my mom is down there. It's tricky, but it can mean anything, like where, like what.
Right? So imagine it's somewhere with unfamiliar foods, different languages, a totally new culture. Do you think you would take the leap, or would you have to like completely just play it safe and stick with the DR?
Well, I think you're a brat because I really do, because Mark is taking me to Indonesia this year.
What?
And yeah, I know I haven't told you that. But
No.
yeah, so we're going in December to Indonesia. I don't talk about it because it's outside of my comfort zone. And there's unfamiliar food, unfamiliar language, and all those other things you just said. And I am like, I've never had a desire to go that far away from my house at
Hmm.
all. Not just because of my kids, but because of my mom, but just because that, and you know me, I love to fly, fall asleep. It's wonderful, but it's really far and it feels, um, and in this case, it ain't free at all,
Mm.
but I'm doing it. I am doing it. I am taking a leap of faith. So this is interesting. This game has taken a really wicked turn for me. I'm gonna come up with some questions for you next time. How do you feel? Um, yeah, I haven't talked to you, but yeah, that's happening in December. It's crazy. And he wants to take this side trip. He's decided, does he want to go to Japan, or does he want to go to Bali? Does he want to go here? Yeah, Australia. I'm just like,
I can start stretching and learning how to like contort.
you're a contortionist.
Put me in your bag.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess I'm gonna grow. I'm gonna grow this year. And I guess that's pretty novel at my age. It's not something I've ever wanted to do. And my husband wants to travel all the time. And I probably have held him back from a lot of big things he's wanted to do because of the love of the familiar.
Hmm.
And I like to explore things to the nth degree. Like, I like to go someplace familiar or do things that are familiar, but find new aspects of them. Like, even like live streaming, right? Like, I've done every live streaming platform, and now we're doing a pod, which I was doing kind of like a solo, what would can be considered a vlogcast, for many, many years. And I can't abandon Sunday Corner, but like, I haven't really been doing it recently because I love this genre. So I don't know.
Well, you know what? That's how the change works. It's a part of life, and a lot of times we let comfort be the deciding factor instead of possibilities and what can happen.
Well, I'll say this. Sometimes I feel like there are endless possibilities, and I see people doing things. And I think about some of my clients who feel really stuck because of fear. And I think, am I afraid, or am I lazy, or am I
Mhm.
just like comfortable? And I think a lot of times it has to do with just being comfortable. And I think when it comes to my kids, especially younger, and I know you feel the same way, but you're an adventurous type of person,
Yeah.
because I mean, you're out there in Colorado, shooting mountain lions and skiing down mountains and whatever. Okay, like, you do stuff, ride backhoes, and you do things that I'm like,
Did you say ride backhoes?
whatever that thing is you're
You
riding.
ride a horse. You drive.
No, I'm talking about that. I don't know what that big giant
Oh,
truck thing that you
you
ride.
drive. I drive a backhoe. Yes,
Drive. You look like you're having fun. It look like a ride. It
it is
looks
fun.
like a ride,
It is
actually.
fun. I
So
love
I don't
competition.
know. So can we stop playing this now?
Um, I don't know. Do I have any left? I think we're
Moving on.
done. That means we're done with this.
My nerves. When we think about knowing ourselves now and giving ourselves permission to change, what do you think is one of the main reasons that women in midlife do start to feel like they can't change anymore?
I think it's because we have so many different roles that we feel we have to fill, right? So, especially as women, we get locked into that. Like, we're either the caretakers, we're a partner, we're a mother, we're a leader, whatever it is. Like, we start off believing that, like, if I change this,
Mm.
then I'm going to be letting somebody else down. So,
I would love to know in our audience, like, what do you feel? Like, what do you think is the main reason? I don't know. I don't know the answer. It could be anything. I know for myself that a lot of times we pay attention to other people's yeses and other people's no's as
mm,
opposed to our own. And we always talk about this, that we pay attention to other people and what they've got going on and not so much to ourselves. And I think love for others and caring for others, and we just had this whole series on, love not hurting. That's
yeah,
powerful. It is powerful to give of ourselves in that way. But at the same time, I think pausing and asking yourself, do I really want this? Is this what I
mm,
want? Um, I'm not talking about the huge things like your marriage. Work to make that work, okay, if you can at all possible. But when it comes to saying things out of obligation, um, not checking in with yourself, even the small things as like exercise. You didn't know me when I was a serial crazy exerciser and would do anything, and I am not ashamed at all, and I'm not that old, but I love jazzercise so much that absolutely crazed over jazzercise. And because it was one of these things that you could do in any different state, wherever I was, I'd find a class.
mhm.
And before the end of the class, I'd be on stage because I just act out when I'm in jazzercise. I just learned every routine. I had a girlfriend who was a trainer, and I absolutely loved it. And people were like, ew, we do Zumba. Like, that is so old. Like, that is so corny. And the truth is that I was not I couldn't have never been in a better shape than I was in when I was doing that particular because it was made back in the day when it really mattered how you moved your body, that every
Right.
movement was to build something. And I didn't care what anybody thought. That's what
Mhm.
I did. Everyone was doing the Zumba. Now, I was curious. I did feel left out. So I would go to jazzercise. I'm not joking, for an hour and 15-minute class. And then I would jump in my car because the next class started like 15 minutes later. And I would go across town and take Zumba.
Because you didn't want to be left out, or
No,
you
because
know,
once I did Zumba, I was like, this is amazing. But it felt like fun. It was more, I didn't feel like I was getting a workout. I know I wasn't getting the same, my body wasn't changing from doing Zumba the way it was changing from doing jazzercise because of the way that you're taught to move your body.
okay.
I was curious because I was feeling the left that everyone was talking about, so I had to check it out. Then once I did, I was like, oh my goodness, but that was more recreation for me. I just
Mhm.
bring it up as a thing to say because sometimes we, you know, will close ourselves off from things. And I was like, I'm not doing no Zumba.
But that's the thing, babe, like, later, like, well, never comes unless we choose to make things happen, you know? And then a lot of times too, like you brought up the people around you, like, influence impacting you. It does. It doesn't just affect us, our choices, it affects the people around us too. And so when we choose to go outside of our comfort zone and try to grow, people around us can kind of feel a sense of
Yeah,
discomfort.
you've said that before. You said that. I
Mhm.
remember you saying that in one of our earlier broadcasts where, where you've made substantial changes in your life, and then all of a sudden you got that mean girl energy around you. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, it's hard because you have what you think is your support group and the people that love you and encourage you, and then you find out that they encourage you and love you when you're staying right where they're at, right? Like when they're meeting you where you're at, whether it's in a negative or a positive way. But once people start seeing that you're trying to progress and you're trying to improve and you're trying to better yourself and better your life and your surroundings, then it gets them to this point where they're like, oh, wait a second. And they start getting salty, whether they realize it or not. And it's because they have to acknowledge the fact that they're not making any progress.
Yeah,
They have
it's
to realize,
personal. It's
yeah,
personal.
dude, exactly. They're like, okay, well, if she's doing this, and this, then why can't I have that? Oh, I can't have that because I don't want to do this, and this. You have to want to make the change. You have to want to put in the effort and the energy. And a lot of times people don't. People are completely
Or just don't
satisfied.
then. I
What's up?
think I think then just don't. Like, jealousy and being petty and being small is so ridiculous. If you love what someone's doing, I remember you and I had a conversation earlier, like a couple of days ago, and we were talking about, and I told you this one time where I was like, I was really jealous. Like, I was
Mm,
jealous, but then once you helped me, through your loving coaching, to help me to realize it wasn't really that I was jealous. It was just something that I wanted.
mm,
Jealousy means I don't really want you to have it. Now, because you have it, I don't like you.
mhm,
I could never feel that way. That's not
mhm,
how I am. But I've admired people for things and said, you know what? Maybe that's something I can put on my bucket list. And I think if we can change, that's where the permission comes in. So
mm,
instead of being like, what you said, I'm bettering myself, I'm doing something different, I'm engaging in something new. You have
mhm,
the two things. You have the salty people, and you have the people who are like, I'm gonna do exactly what you're doing, and then try and usurp your attention, which is
mm,
also tired. I mean,
mhm.
it's tired. It makes you have to take a nap because it's ridiculous. Um,
Because there's enough for everybody.
there's enough for everybody.
Right, there's such a beautiful energetic pull when you're putting that out there, so you don't have to be like, "Mine," or "I don't want you to have this, let me take this from you." No, baby, they're like, "Come get some. Come get it. It's plenty."
Come get some. What? Okay. Okay, this is a G-rated show. Okay. Just saying. Hands up on the shoe.
But have you ever found that, like, sometimes we still hesitate to claim our opportunities?
No, I know. I know.
You know, it's kind of like standing at the edge of a diving board and you look over and you're looking at the water knowing that you can jump in, right? But you're still wondering like, should I? Because it's like it's
Who
intimidating.
knew, who knew they could jump in? Oh, good for you.
Okay, I'll find another
I
metaphor for next
recognize. No, I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying. No,
time.
it's true. It's true.
Mhm.
I have a trigger. Look, the reason why I do EFT is because no matter what you bring up at my age, I've got a trigger story attached to that that's probably negative. Okay. So, yeah. So in the fourth grade, I had to do that high dive to get a grade. And so I did it. And then I said, I don't think I'll ever want to do this again. And I never did. Um, Never. It was terrible. And they later on, they changed the curriculum, realizing that you cannot force a 10-year-old to jump off of a 26-foot high dive. Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you make someone do that? And
Mhm.
if you went off the low dive, you automatically would knock down a grade. Like, why? Yeah, my school system was crazy. And,
Mhm.
my mom never could swim. So in her mind, she was like, you have to go. You have to go.
Yeah.
Because she was like, I want you to swim and I want you to, so I'm not afraid of the water, but I know what you're saying. It's on many things. It could be afraid to jump into marriage. It could be afraid to jump into a new job or a new career. Um, One of the things that I love about being a mom to these kids that I have, and shout out to you, Caitlin and Levi, is that they have really represented for me that I must have done, something right with their dad, with them, because they have fear and then they do it anyway.
Mm.
They have fear and, you know, not sure how some things are going to turn out, and they do the research. They are confused about something and they ask the right people. I'm and the right people aren't always me. It's other people. And I am in awe of seeing that happen. And I learn from them and I'm like, oh, I could do that. And I think that's when motherhood becomes really beautiful. And it doesn't really happen until midlife because they have to be a little bit older, to where you see them doing things that you definitely didn't do at their age. And you're like, if they are giving themselves permission to do that, why in the world aren't we at our age? Why aren't we giving ourselves permission like that? And so, that level of bravery or courage does smack up in the side of the side of risk, and then you have to make a decision.
Well, that's the shift that we help people make too, babe. Like, is to helping them see that instead of fearing change, like embracing it and realizing like this is an opportunity for you to release, like you said, all those triggers and
Yeah,
traumas
yeah.
attached to the past. Like we get to move forward.
It's going to take a while.
It might be a minute.
Maybe a minute. But it's funny. When I first started coaching way back 20 to 20, let's see, 2009 is when I first started going to coaching school.
Mhm.
And 2009. 2008. But before that, in corporate, I was doing coaching instead of regular managing, right? And what I started noticing right away, and that, do you hear my dog? No, what someone just doesn't let that boy out. Anyway, if y'all hear my dog, he's not being abused. He is well loved up in this house. Um, but what I recognized when I first started coaching school was there was such a difference between just regular life, the way
Mm,
people interact, and how they interact once they've been coached, once they've been given permission. And
mm,
it's ridiculous because it made me think of permission slips. When you were a kid and you were going to go on a trip, you had to bring that little paper home, and somebody had to sign it and usually had a dollar amount to it. So that permission slip sat up on the refrigerator because people trying to figure out how they're going to get that $20 so that you could go to the zoo or whatever it was. And it would sit up there. And maybe that's why even permission, we have triggers around that. I don't know if that happened to anybody else, but it definitely happened to me where those permission slips were like, you were waiting. You couldn't do something. It's deep, right? It's deep. You couldn't do something until I just came up with that, guys. You couldn't do something unless someone signed off. Well, we get to own the permission slip now. You sign off on your own future. You sign off. You decide. But it doesn't happen unless you jump those obstacles, unless you decide the comfort zone. Would you rather? I would rather sign the permission slip and go. Just saying.
well, so, like, my brain went completely sideways too, because then when you said that, like, the money attached to the permission, like, what is it going to cost me?
Yep. Figurative or financial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
financially and financial, so then that can be, like, a huge trigger too, you know? So, like, for everybody listening right now, like, who are thinking, "Okay, yeah, dude,
What's it
like,
going to cost you?
what's it gonna
And then
cost?"
again, Morgan, you asked a question a couple weeks ago, what's it going to cost for you not to do it? And I think that's the bigger question
Mm,
because sometimes, I mean, we're not talking about money. Like, right now, save all the money that you possibly can. Okay. But we're talking about what is the cost? Resentment. What's the cost? Disappointment. What's the
mm,
cost? Not liking yourself afterwards, realizing that it truly is a lost opportunity. The reason why I'm going to Indonesia, well, A, because we were invited, it's a special convention we're going to. But the reason why I'm going is because my husband sat in front of me and I thought, by me having the way that I feel about this, am I blocking his blessing? Now I will be blessed
mm.
residually, but how could I, after 35 years, almost 36 years of marriage, block his blessing? It's just so selfish. Why would I block someone else because of something I don't want to do or something I don't like or something I don't approve of? Why would I block someone else's happiness? And I said, bro, let me pray on it. And then what I actually did was I started researching what are the top 10 things you need to do in Indonesia? What are the top 5 things I need to eat in Jakarta? And what herb do I need to start taking now so that I'm not sick when I eat whatever that top 5 thing is in Indonesia in Jakarta? Because my stomach. My stomach's not going to like anything unless it's a chicken breast and some brown rice. You know that. So I
Mm,
said, what do I need to do right now? Because how dare I? So it's giving myself permission to
mm.
allow someone else to have joy. Sometimes it isn't about us. Sometimes it really is about somebody else.
Ooh, that's really, really deep. Really, really deep. And then also, like, how does that help you reconnect to you? By, like, I had to write that down. How can I be the one blocking your blessings?
It's, it's mean.
It's so
It's
selfish.
ridiculous. It's like
It's so selfish.
it's selfish. And so bro will be very happy. And he's like, well, he gave me 10 countries that are the side trips and all this. And I was like, babe, every one sounded worse than the next. And I said to him, I said, bro, you know something? Surprise me.
Well, and think about, like, that's, like, you brought out, that was something that he's excited about. Think about things that you were excited about before you got married, whether it was, like, dancing or reading or whatever it was, or, just sitting outside for 10 minutes. It's those small shifts that create the momentum. So, like, you going on this trip with him, you have no idea what that's gonna be able to create for uncle, and then, like you said, you get the residual benefits too.
Exactly.
Oh,
And I mean, I like what you're saying too, Morgan, because the bottom line is that this is probably going to be a trip of a lifetime for us. We've had one before that was a trip of a lifetime. Crazy 14 days, the entire Mediterranean. It was amazing. Okay. I didn't want to go on that one either. I was like, we can't afford that. Are you crazy? We can't do that. No, I wanted to, but I was like, we can't afford that. Like, we can't do that. But he was going, 'cause he was going for work.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, like for real, like you can't leave me home for 14 days. So I promise you, it changed my life. It changed
Mhm.
my perspective. There are things that happen there. There's things that I have. There's things that I wrote. There's things that I saw that I can never unsee that I'm able to share with my children in a different way. And I went so long ago before children, it was a core memory that I was able to pass on in my DNA to my children in a way that I wouldn't have had. I wouldn't have had that to pass
Yeah.
on to them. So sometimes this idea of can I change? Am I too old to change?
Mhm.
Maybe I'll start going to Asia all the time. Who knows? Maybe I'll start going to Africa. These are not things that are in what like I want to do. Like they're not there. Like I want to go to New Mexico. I've been saying that for 35 years. Can't get to New Mexico across
New
the middle of the
Mexico?
country. That's where I want to go.
What
That
is it about New Mexico?
okay. I'm not going to share that right now. No, it's a strange thing, but it has to do with being an artist. It's an artesian
Yes.
area, an artisan area rather. Um, some of the most incredible writers come out of there, and they are born from the scenery, from
Mm.
the environment. Some of the best poets, some of the best artists, and I just want to go breathe that dusty red air and dirt, and I want to smell that soil, and I want to walk that grounds. And I used to be able to say I wanted to hike those hills, but now my ankle gonna be like, well, you can walk down the street maybe, but I don't know about the hiking. Yeah, so and I'll get there, and it may very well be that um I don't need to do that with my husband. That may be something I need to, that may be my own solo sojourn that I need to do, because it really has to do with you know, my own craft.
Your
So
own growth,
we'll
yeah.
see. Yeah. But I think the thing has to do with prioritizing some things. We are always going to be and getting to after. It is about these little things that we don't allow ourselves to do. As a side note, our mutual friend Pamela's here at the house, and she's been with me for a few days. And it's so interesting because the one thing that she wanted to do,
Mhm.
just sit outside. Like it's simple, it's a simple thing. She's like, can I just sit outside? I'm like, have you seen my deck? My deck has not been springified yet. Like that deck is filthy. All right. It's
Goodbye.
dirty, because it's had snow, and we don't clean the deck in the wintertime, right? It's full of snow and ice and whatever. And she just took all the cleaning supplies and all the paper towels and all this, and she's like, I really want to just sit outside. For her, being able to sit in nature, I mean, we do have the birds and all those things happening right now. For her, that is critical. And even though I was really discouraging us, I'm not if I find to sit in a dirty porch or whatever, but sometimes we have to ask for what we want, despite the fact that, and this is a small example, but despite the fact that people are telling us no. She's like, no, no, it's okay. I'm like,
Mhm.
no, it's not. She's like, no, it is. And in that moment, I'm like, you know what? I'm not embarrassed because my porch is dirty. I just didn't want her to have to clean it. And I was busy with work. Girl, go for it. Let me give you the mop too. Whatever you need, to do what you want. And sometimes we have to fight for it.
Well, think about the momentum that she just created for herself
Yep.
by being able to go and embrace something and just sit in a moment that she wanted. One, she stood up for herself, no matter how little it was. It's like, no, this is something I need for me, which is huge, especially for women that don't have the confidence
Yeah.
to stand up. Those little, tiny little wins, like, no, I'm going to do this because it's something that's going to make me happy. But then by putting herself outside in the beautiful sunlight,
It's,
the fresh air, like that completely like
it
rejuvenates your.
changed everything. It changes everything.
I love it. Absolutely love
Yeah.
it.
So, me, I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm sure that my husband was just like, why do you have her sitting out there in the dirty porch? Because that's the kind of thing that would set him over the edge. And I didn't want to do that to him, but I was just like, it's what she wanted. And I think the thing too is like, even with that, am I going to block someone's blessing, something that they really want? Who am I to do that? It
Mm.
doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't own everything. I don't, we all have to think about that. And then we have to internalize that. What are we blocking for ourselves? What are you saying yes to that's blocking your time, that's blocking your energy? What people are you saying yes to that, again, should not be in your space? And what are you saying no to? What are you pushing away that you would rather embrace?
You are
Because What's wrong?
Nothing, girl. You're giving some like key points.
I'm spitting rhyme this morning.
Like writing down like crazy.
Spitting rhyme. You know why? I haven't eaten yet. So my brain is very, very clear. And then in about 5 more minutes, I'll probably fall apart because I'm starving.
You're like, mm.
But I told you I wake up very creative. And then, as the day progresses without food, like I'm getting into that edge of it's probably time to eat soon. I've been up a lot of hours. Listen, Morgan, why don't we do some tapping?
I love it.
Let's do some tapping.
Mm-hmm. I can see. I don't have a headache.
Morgan,
I'm not even joking. Like I put these on and I'm like, wow, I don't have a headache. This is what I've been missing.
well, you see, you're giving your eyes permission to change. Okay.
Like I'm about to cry. This is deep,
I
man.
know.
I can see.
understand.
It's like the
I
first
get it.
time Sasha, I went and got her eyes checked. And after she got her glasses, we're driving in the car and she's looking outside. Like, I'll never forget it. I'm like looking at her and she's looking outside and she's like, she starts crying. And I'm like, Sash, what's wrong, baby? And she goes, Mom, she goes, I didn't know this is what I've been missing. She's like, I didn't realize this is what the world really looks like. And as a mom, I felt so bad
I
that
know.
my child, like, I was like, how did I not know? How did I not know?
We don't know. We can't see for others. It happened with my son. It happened to me.
Yeah.
I remember that's how, because the big sissy is called Fachi, and that's why. Because I walked up to her after getting my glasses and I looked at her and I was like, you are so beautiful. And so I started calling her face. And then after time, I met someone who spoke in Italian all the time. And I was like, it seemed kind of corny. I was like, how do you say face in Italian? And so Facci, that's what she told me. I don't know if it's true. But anyway, that's how she became Facci. Literally
That's the story.
almost 40 years ago.
That is so beautiful.
I used to call her face. I used to call her face all the time because once I got my glasses and I was like, your face is so beautiful. So I just started calling her face for like a year. And then face became Facci. Yep. Isn't that crazy? That'll make no sense. But however, we digress because we're supposed to be tapping. What happened?
I'm sorry. I was so couldn't believe I could see.
Okay, dear. Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. So you're going to lead us through some tapping right here.
Mm-hmm,
Let's do it, girl.
Oh, I'm leading.
Morgan, you can't. So
It's one of those days. I'm sorry, baby. I know you gotta breathe with me today. I'm sorry, Shugs. I'm sorry. Okay, so
I want y'all to know that
oh, you're still recording?
we are very serious. Oh, we're recording. We're actually very serious people as coaches. You may not notice that in the podcast, and I don't want you to think that if you decide to invest with us by going to, I'm just put it up here. If you decide to go to bit.ly/tap-chat, I don't want you to think that we're not serious coaches. We are, but we do believe in the Julia Roberts open mouth, all teeth showing, tongue out, laughing moments of life. Because without them, is it really worth living? I'm just asking. Is it really worth living? So we are about to go into a serious moment. We're going to go into some tapping right now, and we're going to be very serious.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's pretty dope right now that we can be this silly in the morning because every day has its own garbage that we're going to have to wade through. And if we were able to make you smile this morning, because clearly this particular episode didn't go the way it was supposed to go. But that means we're happy, and that's a good thing. And a little silly, which is probably means we're tired. But anyway, we're going to lead you through some tapping right now. Let's go.
All right, everybody. Right here on the side of your hand is called your karate chop point. We're going to start, and we're just going to start tapping on the side of it. You don't have to tap very hard, just very gently, whatever comfortable for you. And then you're just going to repeat after me. So, even though change feels scary,
even though change feels scary,
I acknowledge how I feel.
I acknowledge how I feel.
Even though part of me resists stepping into something new,
even though part of me resists stepping into something new,
I honor my emotions.
I honor my emotions.
Even though I've been waiting for permission,
even though I've been waiting for permission,
I recognize that I can give it to myself.
Ooh, I recognize that I can give it to myself.
Let's move to our eyebrow point.
Okay.
I don't know what's on the other side of change.
I don't know what's on the other side of change.
Side of eye. And that makes me nervous.
And that makes me nervous.
Under eye. Take out my glasses. What if it's uncomfortable?
What if it's uncomfortable?
Nose. What if I fail?
What if I fail?
Chin. What if I regret it?
What if I regret it?
Collarbone. What if I don't recognize myself anymore? Ooh.
You hit yourself, didn't you? What if I don't recognize myself anymore?
Under the arm. I've played it safe for a long time.
I've played it safe for a long time.
Top of head. And I'm tired of waiting for later.
And I'm tired of waiting for later.
Deep breath in. And out. Okay. So now we're going to go into our affirmation round. So we're going to be shifting our energy into empowerment now.
Okay.
Okay. So eyebrow point. What if change is exactly my next step to freedom?
Wow. What if change is exactly my next step to freedom?
Side of eye. What if stepping forward feels lighter than I expected?
What if stepping forward feels lighter than expected?
Under eye. What if I don't know? What if I don't have to know all the answers right now?
What if I don't have to know all the answers right now?
Under nose. I get to choose who I'm becoming.
I get to choose who I'm becoming.
Chin. I'm not stuck. I'm evolving.
I'm not stuck. I'm evolving.
Collarbone. I give myself permission to take up space.
I give myself permission to take up space.
Under the arm. I give myself permission to explore what I truly want.
I give myself permission to explore what I truly want.
Top of head. I give myself permission to change.
I give myself permission to change.
Take a deep breath in. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and breathe out slowly. Beautiful.
Oh, that was good, Morgan. You tried to kill me in there. And look, I know you write your stuff in advance and you almost knocked yourself out. So, and I like that. I do love that. I love that we write these in advance so that we can separate ourselves from them, so that we actually feel the impact along with the audience. I mean, how dope is that? That's really good. I love this particular one, and I love this conversation. It's on the lighter side, but giving ourselves permission to change feels like the right thing to talk about when spring is emerging. It's always a time we think about rebirth. We think about, all the flowers starting to bloom. I hope, because Maryland's been really cold this winter.
Yes.
I also just want to throw out there that if you haven't gotten the new magazine, Getting to After, our second edition, you need to get it. So we're going to have links below in the bottom to the actual magazine. If you haven't received our first magazine, I'll put links to that as well, to our launch, which came out in October. We've got some really great articles in there, some that are going to really talk to what we spoke of today, and some that are going to talk to, some personal things. There's some personal narratives in there from Morgan, and we actually even put in some fiction this time. So I think you're going to love it. Morgan, one of the most important things, and when we think about Getting to After, is this idea that we do have permission to change. We can evolve. We can decide to do something different. We can. We just have to allow ourselves to open our minds up to know that we can.
Because midlife isn't the end of our story. It's the beginning of the chapter that we get to choose to write.
Why are you trying to get poetic in the morning? Why are you trying to get poetic in the morning? What? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Okay, Morgan. Okay. Your friend is like really on a roll this morning. Listen, guys, Have an amazing, amazing week. We cannot wait to get back to you next time. I am Chatone Morrison, Princess of Positivity. I do believe that you can release negativity so your positivity can reign in your brain, in your business, in your big, beautiful life. We would love for you to tap with us. You see the link down there. We'll have all the information below in the description box as well. Morgan, as always, you are authentic, you are brilliant, and you are a catalyst. And I love doing this with you.
Oh, I love you, beautiful. We can't wait to see you guys next week. Love you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.